the most popular private eye show, and probably one of the most successful of TV series, is the Mannix series. And of course, with me, the man who is the lead role in that plays Joe Mannix himself as Mike Connors. A really nice occasion to have a little chat with him because people who are that popular is sometimes hard to get to, and though when you do meet them, they turn out to be very approachable. Nevertheless, there's so many demands made on them that interviews sometimes are hard to come by. So we're very glad to have you grace our schedule, by the way. You helped strengthen Channel 11 and CBS in Louisville.
Well, thank you.
What I like particularly about your series is that it's so frankly physical. You're the hero type. You're very masculine, and it's obvious to me that you do most of your own physical takes.
Yeah, I do most of it. I do, I guess, about 90% of it. But when I see that there's a stunt to be done which could very well cost you your life, I quietly sit down and call for somebody else. But most of the fighting and all of the action, I try and do myself. Luckily, I was active in sports and I can handle it.
That's right. So, you were known as Touch as a basketball player.
Yeah, I played basketball at UCLA. And I've been involved in sports all of my life and all kinds of sports. And I found it has come in very handy, especially today on television when they like so much movement and action and the cameras get in close, and when you can do it yourself, it makes it much more believable and honest.
It becomes very fashionable for some actors in long-running series to either pretend to or actually feel that they've had enough of it. Now, how do you feel about a long-running series? Can you have too much of a good thing, Mike?
Oh, I imagine you can have too much of a good thing in anything, whether it comes to food, women, or entertainment, you know. You have steak every night and you're going to get tired of it, I think. But I still find that I can be interested and excited and enthusiastic about the show. Of course, I've been doing it for 5 years now, so maybe that's not considered too long a run. But I think most actors that complain about being stuck, so to speak, in a series are really not being completely honest. Let's face it, we're all actors. If we're acting, that's what it's all about. And whether you're doing it every day or 6 weeks out of the year, you're an actor, and as long as you're acting, that's it.
Your interpretation is very interesting to me for one particular reason. Though you're very physical, and you're very strong, and when you're up against the baddies, you use the physical crunch. Nevertheless, you always have room in your life for interpersonal relationships. For instance, the one that I like very much, because our good friend Victor Jory is active in it,
great guy,
is the one that you do at least once a year involving your father, your Armenian father,
right,
and the vineyards.
Yes. Well, you see, I have always felt, and the producers of my show go along with it and feel the same way. You know, the fact that a man is a two-fisted, rugged man doesn't mean that he's without any kind of emotion or feeling. I have some of the roughest, toughest people I know are the most emotional, warm-hearted guys you ever want to meet. I have met football players that are like overgrown babies. They're so warm and sweet-natured. Some of the roughest killers I've met as hoods, and I mean literally hoods, are the softest-hearted people in many ways. Now, that's a strange contrast, but it's true. And I've always felt that because a man is a two-fisted man and tough, when he has to be, doesn't mean that he is a cold man. And I think that human beings get involved, get emotionally involved, get interested in other people, and yet, when it's called for, it can be tough.
What about, you ever see a series coming with a private eye
Excuse me,
who's married, he's got a sloppy wife, he's got a 42-inch waistline, he can't take a punch. Would you ever see him heading up a series?
That's a hell of an idea for a series. You know, I never thought of that. Bill Conrad you're talking about, great guy and one heck of an actor, and I think, again, it's interesting. That's a form of identification. A lot of people can identify with a man. Again, a physical man doesn't have to be tall, thin, and hard as nails. He can be a man that maybe is not quite as light.
I really hadn't been thinking about Conrad. I happen to be a tremendous admirer of him. Conrad in this series is single, but he is soft and flabby, and yet I think the sheer ability of his acting makes you forget that he is
That's right.
a lard type, you know.
And I think that, it takes all types to make up the world and do all kinds of jobs, and the most unlikely people end up in the most unlikely places doing the most unlikely things.
I have to think about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of unlikelies in there.
I like the way that you, sometimes you go back to your hometown.
Yeah.
You pick up old friendships. Not all your girlfriends are real young and teeny boppers. You have some mature, handsome women that used to know.
Yeah, have you ever seen some of the women you were in love with in high school lately? They're not all pretty teeny boppers, are
they? You've seen them, huh?
Yes. Well, I've seen mine. I don't know about yours.
That's true.
Yeah.
I like the place you live, your office. Now, is that a real place?
No, it's not. I happen to like a lot of wood and the Mexican Mediterranean influence, and when we decided on an office, I asked the studio to build something that had a lot of woods and earth colors, the browns and the tans and the dark greens, and that's what we built. It's we have the set outside for the exteriors built on a studio, and we have the interior built on a stage that we shoot.
Very handsome.
Yeah, yeah.
And warm it is.
Yeah.
It's not real much.
And the rent isn't too much.
You get a lot of mail from single girls.
Yes, quite a bit. Quite a bit, yeah.
He modestly said. You notice that. I noticed that when you have a romantic involvement, you're pretty cool about it. You give them a kiss or two, and then bye-bye, baby.
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
You have anything to add to that? I'm waiting.
Well, by design, we've decided that a lead in a series, if he is single, gets too emotionally involved deeply with too many girls too often. You begin to think he's fickle and lose respect for him. In real life, I don't think we jump off an elevator and fall in love. And if you do it too often, I think it can be dangerous. And we haven't had a regular romance or a wife on the show because it does tend to limit the movement and the action of the character Joe Mannix.
Will you be doing anything radically different this year?
No. We're always looking for new locations and new story ideas and interesting things visually. But basically, we concentrate on the story that has drama and action. The people that have been working on the show, such as Gail Fisher and Bob Reed and Ward Wood and Jack Ging playing lieutenants at alternating times, will still be back.
Yes, why do you change your lieutenants?
Well, for a number of reasons. We don't want people to think that there is only one lieutenant in the Los Angeles police force. Plus, sometimes people aren't available all the time. And it makes it seem like it's more than, again, a one-dimensional relationship between Mannix and certain police officers. Then with one, we had Dane Clark for a while do a couple of parts. He was a tough, hard-nosed guy that didn't, particularly like me. I have a good relationship with Bob Reed and Ward Wood, so that it's not all one-dimensional, that everybody in the police force gets along with me. There's now and then we get a guy that's a hard nose and says, butt out. So we get a nice round feeling there.
Very good. Yeah. It's really been great to have you on.
Nice being on, Bill.
And I hope your series runs for as long as you want it to.
Thank you. That's nice.
That's Joe Mannix, and that's Mike Connors, and he's been our guest, and we're delighted beyond measure.